Stanley Kubrick's 1980 masterwork of horror and mystery, The Shining, emanates a pervading sense of dread and suspense, which is underscored by the increasingly unhinged and maniacal acting from Jack Nicholson, heightened by Shelley Duvall's terrified and fundamentally fearful performance, and perhaps most significantly enhanced by Kubrick's technical meticulousness and prowess embedded within practically every single sequence of the chillingly haunting film. The Shining utilizes various aspects and components of visual design and mise-en-scene, such as dichotomous color dynamics, directional lighting, and contrasting, evocative costume design, particularly within the scene where Jack Torrance slowly approaches and disturbingly threatens his wife, Wendy, in the Colorado Lounge. The film primarily does this to clearly communicate and convey its themes of inherent emotional instability and tension, cold-blooded dispositions, and eventual violent tendencies, all of which permeate the atmosphere of the Overlook Hotel and consequently saturate Jack's character as the film progresses deeper into its demented, disquieting descent into insanity. Perhaps one of the most notable and distinct features of visual design found within the confrontational sequence between Jack and his wife Wendy is the film's dichotomous use of color within the scene's immediate environment, essentially establishing the prevalent mood and atmosphere that precedes their approaching interaction. In the scene directly prior to this confrontation, Wendy and her son Danny are shown cooped up in their hotel room, bathed in an incandescent and warm orange hue, reflecting their momentarily safe and protected state when they are removed from Jack's presence. Once Wendy leaves to find her husband in the Colorado Lounge, however, the scenic color changes dramatically, shifting into a piercing and chilling blue from the snowy winter landscape surrounding the Overlook Hotel. This sudden radical contrast in color scheme effectively instills a pervasive sense of cold unfamiliarity and dread into the hotel's atmosphere, apprehensively setting the audience up for some type of catalytic and sinister sequence or event to occur, which is exactly what happens once Jack begins to maniacally threaten and pursue Wendy throughout the room and all the way up to the hotel staircase. As Jack slowly stalks Wendy, she retreats back up the stairs and towards the hallway at the top, which notably exhibits the familiar orange color and hue cast by the interior lighting, again reflecting an exit from the cold, unsettling atmosphere of the Colorado Lounge back into a safe and secure location away from the possessed Jack Torrance. The Shining's changing color dynamics as we move from the warm orange hue of certain secure areas within the Overlook Hotel to the chilling blue light cast upon the Colorado Lounge evidently helps convey the changes in the characteristic mood and atmosphere embedded within each sequence of the film. The second related aspect of visual design and mise-en-scene embedded in the climactic conflict between Jack and his wife is The Shining's utilization of directional and atmospheric lighting, revealing certain character dynamics and themes within the context of the film's diegesis. At the start of this scene, when Wendy Torrance comes across Jack's typewriter in the Colorado Lounge, alongside the sheets of paper harrowingly outlined with the repeated phrase, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy," the cold blue light from the outside winter casts a significant amount of side lighting via the windows on Wendy's right-hand side. This effect of light direction is used to distinctly highlight and dramatize Wendy's shocked and horrified facial expression for the audience. Once Jack enters the scene, however, the side lighting then becomes his backlighting, essentially providing depth between Jack and the background, as well as producing a slight halo effect that signifies his initial power and control within the scene's emotional dynamic. As Jack slowly approaches Wendy, he begins to prod her with questions about what she would like to do with their son Danny, which is reflected by a slow switch in their positionings, the backlight now being behind Wendy, and how the power dynamic of this conversation is momentarily shifted in Wendy's favor.
Well, I think maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
Once Wendy expresses her personal concern with Danny's health and asks for him to be taken to a doctor, Jack is once again backlit by the winter light, chiding her for not thinking about his needs and his responsibilities, thus reasserting his emotional power and control in the scene's dynamic.
Ever thought about my responsibilities?
Oh, Dick, what are you talking about?
Have you ever had a single moment's thought about my responsibilities? Have you ever thought for a single solitary moment about my responsibilities to my employers?
This visual back and forth continues until Jack and Wendy reach the staircase, where the side lighting finally makes its return, casting and spilling cold light over the sides of both characters' faces and emphasizing the compelling performances from both actors within the scene as they slowly ascend the stairs. The Shining's use of directional lighting effects are powerful and immersive methods of accentuating the acting from both Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, whilst conveying the subtle shifts in power and emotion within Jack and Wendy's interactions and conversations. Lastly, the film's use of directional and revealing lighting also effectively directs the audience's attention towards the intricacies of both Jack and Wendy's costumes, specifically regarding their inherently contrasting designs and how they accurately and thematically reflect each character's current disposition. As Jack Torrance deliberately encroaches upon his wife in the Colorado Lounge, the previously mentioned directional lighting ends up accentuating and intensifying the costume design of his character, here being the muted red-brown jacket that he begins to wear only once the Overlook Hotel infiltrates his psyche with hallucinatory sequences and vicious sentiments. The abundance of front lighting practically transforms the jacket from a dull, subdued red-brown into a vibrant, blood-red tinge, which Kubrick chooses to intercut with memorable shots of copious amounts of blood pouring from the hotel's elevator. In doing so, the film essentially establishes Jack Torrance's volatile and violent state, the flames of his murderous contempt fanned by the bloodthirsty and intemperate nature of the Overlook Hotel. Jack's vibrant and blood-red jacket is also juxtaposed by Wendy's costume design, particularly how her attire consists mainly of a plain, understated brown-green dress and overalls, thus demonstrating the apparent dichotomy between Jack's ardent, murderous, and violent intent and Wendy's defensive, protective victimization at the hands of both Jack and the Overlook Hotel. The film's utilization of dynamic and contrasting costume designs, particularly regarding how the directional lighting highlights the vibrant, blood-red hue of Jack's jacket, and how it counters Wendy's plain, unfussy brown-green overall dress, helps demonstrate the prevalent themes of emotional contempt and conflict that arises within Jack and Wendy's relationship during their stay at the Overlook. Throughout Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror classic The Shining, the auteur utilizes several factors of mise-en-scène within the climactic, confrontational scene between Jack Torrance and his wife Wendy in the Colorado Lounge. More specifically, Kubrick employs instances of dichotomous color dynamics, which are conveyed via both exterior and interior light sources, directional and atmospheric lighting, mainly from the side and back lighting given by the winter sun through the various windows, as well as inherently contrasting costume designs, such as the use of directional lighting to morph Jack's conventionally brown jacket into a vibrant and deep blood-red hue, which in turn juxtaposes Wendy's mellow, unfussy, and understated dress and overalls. Every single one of these important components and facets of visual design help the film portray its infamous and atmospheric dread, tension, and mystery, whilst also conveying its prevalent themes of emotional deterioration, burgeoning cold-hearted dispositions and inclinations, as well as inexplicably violent tendencies and sentiments, all of which radiate from the mysterious mechanisms of the haunting Overlook Hotel.
Midnight, were the stars and you. Midnight and a rendezvous. Your eyes held a message tender, saying I surrender all my love to you.